Hey there, Bulborbs, how you doing? I'm your host Alf, and I'm sick. Anyway, some of you may have noticed that they announced Pikmin 4. We hardly know anything about this game, but that won't stop me from talking about it. Today, with our newfound knowledge from the game's reveal, I'll be giving you my hopes for Pikmin 4. A third time. Beginning at the surface level, we already know that Pikmin 4 has better graphics than Pikmin 3 did. The opening shot of the trailer has absolutely beautiful lighting, and the texture of the ground seems much more detailed as well. I already thought Pikmin 3 looked really great, but I think and hope that Pikmin 4 is about to take things to the next level. The quality of a lot of my videos probably gave it away that I'm not a graphics nut, but I still love to drink in a beautiful environment when I can. Pikmin 4 seems like it's going to feature much more realistic lighting from the sun that changes angles throughout the day, which I think could be especially gorgeous. I assume the graphics in general will be better with the hardware boost alone, so I won't go into much detail. The graphics don't make the game, but I still think Pikmin 4 is going to look very special. Branching off the angular sunlight in the trailer, that could also indicate a change in the game's day cycle mechanic. I think a shakeup like that could be really great for the series, which is something that I've mentioned in my past videos. If you haven't seen those, basically my thought process centers around the idea that the first 3 Pikmin games are very similar. Their level design varies quite a bit, but they all feature the same basic mechanics and gameplay elements. With the long wait for Pikmin 4, my broadest hope is that Nintendo will do something to really make the game stand out and feel fresh. Back to the reveal trailer, I think a new daylight mechanic could be a part of that fresh new thing. The first thing we see in the trailer looks like an actual sunrise, which we haven't really seen before in Pikmin. Of course, the days have always played out from morning to evening, but the only evidence of that was the game booting you out of the level between days, and getting a little darker towards sundown. The fact that they seem to be adding a much more realistic version of the sun could mean that the days themselves will play out a little differently. Maybe the map will cover a larger section of the globe than before, and instead of just going back into orbit at sundown, you can travel to a section of the Earth in an earlier time zone. I don't think that's super likely, but it could be interesting. What I've heard more people talk about is the idea that Pikmin 4 might let us play at night. Maybe, now that we can naturally see the sun rise and set, we can take the option to continue our exploration after it gets dark. After all, it wasn't the most logical system in the world to have the game force you to stop playing exactly at dusk. Maybe you can choose to end the day at any time, but you can also choose to stay down on the surface after dark and just deal with the extra monsters. Monsters have always been the only reason things got dangerous at night, but a huge part of the game is already fighting monsters anyway. I think it would be cool to have that option, especially if playing at night has better rewards for exploration. What if some treasures or fruits or whatever are only accessible at night? I think that would be super cool, but the new sunlight could also mean nothing at all, so what do I know? Moving on from fake random stuff, the thing that stuck out to me most in the reveal trailer was the increased presence of humanity. I've always assumed that Pikmin took place years after humans went extinct, but the Pikmin 4 reveal trailer raises a lot of questions if that's the case. We can see some well-kept potted plants in the opening shot, there's a bench in the second shot that looks brand new, and it looks like there's a fully kept garden in the last image we see. Whether or not these all come from the same level is negligible for me, but I do wonder how much we should be reading into the human influence here. After all, Pikmin has always featured some remnants of human society, so maybe the increase in set pieces could simply be a stylistic choice. Nevertheless, my imagination couldn't help but wonder if something big is going on here. Maybe the older Pikmin games simply took place in abandoned settlements, but now we're getting closer to active society. Maybe humans are still alive, and there could even be a level in a city somewhere. Again, I'm probably reading into this too much, but humanity could become a very exciting part of Pikmin 4. If nothing else, maybe something like the faucet we see here could be used to affect a specific mission. Whatever the case, I'm excited to find out. After the trailer, we get a screenshot of the game, and Miyamoto told us that we would be able to play from the Pikmin's perspective near the ground, as shown in the image. That information really excites me because this could be the big change I've been waiting for. The image we see is obviously closer to the ground, but it's also a lot more close up than we're used to in Pikmin. I don't know if that's the exact scale of gameplay, but either way I do have to wonder how the controls will shift to accommodate that. We'll get to that later though, because the perspective itself has some potential. For one thing, being angled more horizontally lets us look up for the first time just about ever. I have no doubt that looking up at the trees and the sky will add even more beauty to Pikmin 4, but I think it could also affect the level design. Personally, I'm hoping that this newfound perspective will add more verticality to Pikmin 4's levels. Being down so low makes the player feel smaller, so adding large structures to traverse would heighten that sense of scale. Taking the new human elements into account, there's a lot of potential to expand Pikmin 4 into the Y-axis. Of course, extra verticality could be problematic thanks to the fact that you can't jump in Pikmin. Previous games dealt with this by having you throw Pikmin and captains up onto ledges, but that could get really clunky sometimes. If Pikmin 4 is indeed to feature more vertical levels, I hope there's a new mechanic to make it more convenient, or at least a more streamlined set of layouts. Maybe there's some kind of jetpack, maybe there are a lot more ramps and stuff, who knows. Even if the level design doesn't change much, I'll still be looking forward to the lowered perspective for that added sense of immersion. For the first time in my life, I can finally be the Pikmin. Speaking of being something, I have to wonder who the captains will be, or just how the story will work in general. I really loved Pikmin 3's story because of how often things changed up, and how much personality the characters had. I hope the plot shifts around as much or more than it did then, but I still think Pikmin could grow a lot narratively. For one thing, most of the stories are about getting stuck alone on a planet, and I kinda don't think we need to bring that back. I mean, it works, but I think it would be fun to feel more in control of the situation, and have something great to accomplish on Earth. Like getting the fruits in Pikmin 3, just more complicated and without needing to find the cosmic drive key. And even though I loved Pikmin 3's story for being so dynamic, the actual structure of it left something to be desired. You basically spend all of Pikmin 3 going to the end of each level, fighting the guy who happens to have the thing you need, and then going to the next level in light of the thing you got. The bosses are fun, but it doesn't make too much narrative sense for everything to be so cut and dry. I hope Pikmin 4 finds a way to keep the story moving without settling for a simple game of beat the guy to get the thing to go here. Maybe if the story is less dire of a situation, you could simply move things along by collecting a set of items or something. Maybe the game could be structured more like an open world, harkening back to Pikmin 1. It's not a huge deal either way, but I still think the story is very much worth mentioning. Another major thing I noticed is actually something that I didn't notice. Namely, where are the other Pikmin types? It's a short trailer, but we never see anything besides red, yellow, and blue Pikmin. I'll be honest, this is most likely just a way to avoid spoilers. Like, I'd say there's an 82% chance that they just didn't want to reveal the special Pikmin types that would be in the game yet. But I can't help but wonder if this is connected to the last thing Miyamoto says in his presentation. He gives us painfully little to go off of here, but he basically says that the Switch has made controlling the game simpler, which will let us focus more on strategically using Pikmin. Honestly, I don't know what that means. The Switch doesn't control very differently from other consoles, so I'm not sure how the controls will change. Pikmin also already exists on the Switch in Pikmin 3 Deluxe, and that game controls just fine. I guess it is a bit complicated though, so maybe they've found a way to cut back on buttons. Most likely though, I take this to mean that Pikmin 4 will function just a bit differently than its predecessors. The changed perspective in conjunction with a potential for less Pikmin types leads me to believe that Pikmin 4 might be simplifying the controls and mechanics to prioritize engaging level design. And to be honest, I really like that idea. The top-down cursor system wouldn't really work well with the new gameplay perspective, so I have to assume that the simpler control scheme addresses that as well. Maybe you just don't have a free aiming cursor anymore? There's just a direction things go when you throw them? That's sort of how Pikmin 1 controlled on the GameCube, where you're always aiming right in front of your character. I can't see this happening though, because that would feel more like a regression than a simplification. I can't really imagine how Pikmin 4 is going to control so low to the ground, but I really hope they've made it work in a natural way. If they simplified the controls and potentially took away some mechanics, I have to hope that this means they really put an emphasis on great level design. Older Pikmin games, including my beloved Pikmin 3, are really fun, but the worlds don't feel supernatural when you take a step back. It's way too obvious in many cases that these areas were designed to be a certain size, and they were designed to be played through with Pikmin. I like to think that if the controls are easier and they've cut away some of the gimmicky Pikmin types, then we could really see some truly artful environments. Not just artful visually, but crafted in an absolutely brilliant way for the most engaging gameplay possible. I want Pikmin 4's levels to feel flawless, with absolutely genius structure. I want the puzzles and challenges to flow together in a way where everything feels like it's exactly the way it's meant to be. If they're taking 10 years to make a simpler game, I'm hopeful that Pikmin 4 can become a perfect magnum opus of design. No matter what, that 2023 release date can't come fast enough. Thanks for watching, everyone. I guess this video really just ended up being a trailer analysis part 2, but what are you gonna do about it? Feel free to like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and have a great day.